13:53 hours. Ukrainian operators are controlling 11 drones toward a Russian ammunition train, but Russian artillery has already found them. The first shell lands 780 meters away. They have one decision: abort and live, or continue the mission while 152mm shells close in on their position. They choose the mission. What the Russians don't know is that these drones are connected by fiber optic cables thinner than fishing line, making them completely immune to the $10 million electronic warfare vehicle trying to jam them. In the next 12 minutes, under $5,000 worth of modified racing drones will erase over $125 million in Russian military assets. But first, they have to survive. A BTR armored vehicle catches movement. Gunner swings his weapon. Tracers slash through dawn air. Too late. The swarm divides. 4 climb high, 4 drop low. 4 punch straight ahead. Bullets rip through nothing but sky. And here's what makes this impossible for Russia to stop. Trailing behind each racing drone, invisible unless sunlight catches it just right, runs a strand of glass fiber. Data moves through it as light pulses. Not radio signals that can be jammed. Light. While every Russian electronic warfare system broadcasts interference across every frequency, these commands travel through glass at 200,000 kilometers every second. Untouchable. The multi-million-dollar jamming vehicle parked at the rail junction? Useless. Absolutely worthless. But the Ukrainian crews piloting this strike have a bigger problem. Artillery. The Russians triangulated their broadcast signature the instant those drone motors spun up. 48 brushless engines creating an electromagnetic signature visible for kilometers, like lighting a bonfire in a dark forest. Second shell impacts. Closer dust shakes from concrete overhead. These operators knew this would happen. That's why they're split between 3 hardened positions, 500 meters separating each bunker. Why that exact distance? Artillery blast radius. A direct hit from 152mm creates lethality out to 300 meters. At 500-meter spacing, even if Russians score a direct strike on one position, the others survive. Kill one bunker, maybe 2 if they're incredibly lucky. Never all 3. The math guarantees mission success. Through the lead unit's camera feed, the target appears. Black smoke pouring from the locomotive. The train's approaching a section where track runs perfectly straight for 2 full kilometers. No cover, no defensive positions close enough to matter. Ukrainian intelligence studied this route for weeks. They know the vulnerability window lasts exactly 97 seconds. That's when they strike. The Russians are flooding the airspace with 10 kilowatts of jamming power. But they're trying to stop light traveling through glass by broadcasting radio noise. It's like trying to stop someone's flashlight by shouting at it. The physics simply don't work. Shell number 3 detonates, 450 meters out. This one changes the game. 3 fragments of steel, each screaming through air at 1,500 meters per second, find their targets. The cables on units 2, 5, and 8 sever. These 3 aircraft immediately switch to backup power, radio control, which means they just became vulnerable to exactly the jamming that can't touch the others. 9 drones still connected by fiber, still flying perfectly, immune. The 3 on wireless, about to go dark. Lead operator makes the call. Continue. Relocate now. They grab equipment, sprint. 4th artillery round slams into bunker 1, right where they were standing 8 seconds ago, but they're already gone. Racing through the connecting tunnel to bunker 4, 700 meters east. Artillery has to reacquire. That buys time. Then the 3rd artillery round changed everything. 3 pieces of shrapnel, each moving at 9 times the speed of sound, severed the fiber optic cables on drones 2, 5, and 9. Those 3 drones just became vulnerable to the very jamming that couldn't touch the others. Let me explain why those 9 surviving connections matter. Radio waves move through air. Jam the air with noise, you block the signal. But fiber optic works completely differently. Light enters one end of a glass thread, bounces down the length through total internal reflection, emerges at the other end. No radio waves involved. No wireless transmission to interfere with. The 3 units now running on radio backup face a serious threat. The R-330Zh Zhitel electronic warfare platform positioned at the junction just detected the swarm. 7 kilometers out. Operator activates transmitters. 10 kilowatts of electromagnetic energy erupts across every frequency from 100 megahertz to 2 gigahertz. Enough power to overwhelm commercial drone channels, GPS signals, every radio communication system within 30 kilometers. The 3 on wireless die instantly. Screens turn to static, but 9 others keep coming. Inside the Zhitel cabin, the operator watches his display. 3 signals vanished. Perfect. But 9 more approach. Signals crystal clear. Impossible. He checks his equipment. How are they transmitting through 10 kilowatts of jamming? He doesn't understand fiber optics. He tries different frequencies. 2.4 gigahertz. 5.8 gigahertz. Every military band. The Zhitel pumps noise across the entire spectrum, like trying to have a conversation while 1,000 speakers blast different music at maximum volume. Those 3 drones on radio are flying blind now, continuing on last known heading until batteries die or they crash. But 9 others, unaffected. Here's the beautiful part. Electronic warfare is indiscriminate. The Zhitel's jamming doesn't just target Ukrainian systems. At checkpoint 9, a BTR-82A crew spots the swarm on thermal. They try radioing a warning to the Pantsir air defense system 3 kilometers away. Dead air. Static. Their own radios are as jammed as the enemy's. Russia just blinded itself trying to blind Ukraine. Meanwhile, 9 drones with intact fiber connections fly on. The Zhitel could broadcast 100 kilowatts. Wouldn't matter. That $10 million electronic warfare vehicle designed to knock NATO platforms from the sky at 30 kilometers is powerless against what amounts to very long fishing line. The locomotive engineer, warned about possible air threats during his briefing, shoves throttles forward. Speed increases. 42 kilometers per hour, 48 and 52 maxes out at 56. Absolute limit for 4,000 tons rolling on deteriorating track. But going faster creates problems. Every kilometer per hour increase shifts the intercept point 17 meters further down the rails. Ukrainian operators recalculate continuously. Every course correction drains battery they can't afford to lose. Here's where Russian tactics backfired catastrophically. The BTR crew could see drones approaching on thermal and tried to warn the Pantsir air defense system 3 kilometers away. But their radios were completely dead. The $10 million jamming system had just blinded every Russian unit on the battlefield, while 9 Ukrainian drones flew on unaffected. Checkpoint 9. BTR crew has exactly 8 seconds to engage. That's how long the swarm remains in their firing envelope as it crosses perpendicular to their position. Gunner traverses turret, tries calculating lead angle for targets moving 27 meters per second. At that speed and angle, he needs to aim 15 meters ahead. He opens up with the PKT, 800 rounds per minute. By the time he calculates proper lead and walks fire onto the flight path, the swarm's already behind a tree line. 8 seconds to acquire, track, lead, and engage 9 targets the size of dinner plates moving faster than highway traffic. Geometry makes it impossible. Every round misses. This gunner trained for this scenario countless times in simulators. But simulators don't capture reality. Training targets move predictably. These drones jink randomly every 2 seconds. Up, down, left, right, like drunk hummingbirds. Through his optic, he can see those fiber cables trailing behind them, glinting like spider silk in afternoon sun. He tries leading them. It's like trying to shoot a bird's shadow. By the time you aim where it's going, it's already changed direction. BTR commander slams his fist on the turret. Can't even report the miss. Radio's still jammed. 9 survivors press toward the train, 4.2 kilometers from intercept. But the Pantsir S1 at the junction detected them on thermal. Its radar, designed to track cruise missiles, filters out tiny drone signatures as ground clutter. Operator switches to electro-optical mode, manually tracking the incoming swarm through what's essentially a very expensive telescope with autocannons attached. The Pantsir's twin 2 A38M guns open fire at 3,200 meters. Gunner isn't trying to hit individual drones. That'd be like shooting mosquitoes with a rifle. Instead, he sets his 30mm shells for airburst detonation, each round programmed to explode at preset distance, fragmenting into 400 pieces of steel shrapnel in a 4-meter sphere. At 5,000 rounds per minute, he's creating a wall of metal between drones and target. Unit 6 vanishes in an orange fireball. 2,900 meters. 3 seconds later, Unit 11 explodes. 7 survivors immediately scatter in 3 dimensions. 3 climb to 200 meters. 3 dive to grass height. 1 maintains altitude but jinks laterally. This forces the Pantsir gunner to choose. His computer recommends engaging the high group, easier to track against sky. But training says engage closest threat first. 2 seconds to decide. The Pantsir gunner just made the exact same mistake that cost Russia another ammunition train 3 weeks earlier. He chose the high-altitude drones because they were easier to track. Classic air defense error. You always engage the closest threat first. While his guns tracked upward, the low-altitude group closed in completely unopposed. He picks the high group. Doesn't know he just repeated the exact mistake that got another train destroyed 3 weeks prior. Elevates barrels toward the climbing group. Commits to that target set. Classic air defense error. Always engage closest threat first. It has least time to react. While Pantsir guns track upward chasing climbing drones, the low-altitude group accelerates toward the train. Unbothered. Gunner realizes his error. Can't traverse fast enough to reacquire. Low-flying drones already passed his optimal engagement angle, but that's not the only gauntlet these drones fly through. Russian infantry at observation post 7 add their firepower. 40. AK rifles firing synchronized bursts. Nearly impossible shot. Drones crossing perpendicular at 27 meters per second. At 200-meter distance, each drone spends exactly 0.74 seconds in a soldier's sight picture. Human reaction time is 0.25 seconds. Target acquisition and aiming takes another 0.5 seconds. By the time a soldier squeezes trigger, drone's already gone. Meanwhile, 4 specialized drones flying at 500 meters altitude dive toward railroad tracks 800 meters behind the speeding train. They release payload simultaneously. Thermite charges. Ignite on impact with rails. Thermite isn't explosive. It's aluminum powder mixed with iron oxide. Burns at 2500 degrees Celsius. Railroad steel melts at 1370. The thermite devours rails like acid through paper. Transforms 4 sections of track into puddles of molten metal within seconds. The Pantsir's barrels were glowing cherry red. After 45 seconds of sustained fire, the heat had warped the rifling so badly that rounds were tumbling instead of spinning. The gunner had no choice but to cease fire. For 12 seconds, an eternity in combat, the sky was completely clear and 7 drones pushed through the gap. Battery warnings flash amber on operator screens. Fighting headwinds and constant course corrections drained power faster than calculated. Unit 3 shows 18%. Unit 7, 21%. They need 30 more seconds to reach target. Have maybe 20 seconds of powered flight remaining. Smoke from thermite-ignited grass fires drifts across the battlefield. Thermal imaging sees through darkness, rain, fog, not smoke. Carbon particles absorb infrared radiation across all wavelengths. For crucial seconds, every Russian defense position loses visual contact. Drones punch through smoke at 1,400 meters from target. Cameras showing individual details on train cars. Unit markings. Rust patterns. Even the white stencil warning on Wagon 22. Class 1.1 explosive. Fiber optic cables approaching maximum extension. At exactly 12,000 meters, they release automatically. Prevents tangling. 10 seconds to release. 5, 3, 2. First cable releases 13 meters short. Simple spring-loaded mechanism originally designed for fishing reels. Unit 1 transitions to battery power. 8% remaining. Enough for maybe 18 seconds if everything works perfectly. Other cables release in sequence over 3 seconds. Drones now flying free. No longer immune to jamming, but also too close to stop. The Pantsir system cost $20 million and was designed to stop NATO cruise missiles and F-16. But the drones had entered its minimum range, where the autocannons physically couldn't depress below -5 degrees. $20 million of cutting-edge air defense defeated by geometry, a high school student could calculate. 1,553 meters from impact, closing at 27 meters per second. Train engineer sees them through windscreen. 7 black dots growing rapidly larger against afternoon sky. Slams throttle forward past mechanical stops, overriding every safety governor. Diesel engines immediately redline. Pushing harder makes things worse. Driving wheels lose traction, begin spinning on rails. Steel on steel has coefficient of friction 0.78 when static. Once wheels start slipping, drops to 0.25. Harder he pushes, more the wheels polish rails instead of gripping them. Train actually loses 2 kilometers per hour. He keeps pushing. Pantsir tries one final engagement. Drones entered minimum range, 500 meters. Autocannons can't depress below -5 degrees. System designed to engage cruise missiles and aircraft approaching from above. Not ground-skimming drones. $20 million of air defense defeated by basic trigonometry. Gunner can only watch his screen as 7 drones disappear below his engagement envelope. Drone 3's battery died completely at 100 meters from target. The motor stopped instantly, but the operators had calculated this scenario perfectly. At 94 kilometers per hour with minimal air resistance, the dead drone would glide the final distance on pure momentum. It would hit the target before aerodynamic drag could stop it. Physics became the final weapon. Russian soldiers at final checkpoint open fire with everything. Machine guns, AK rifles, even RPG-7s detonated as improvised flak bursts. But drones follow exact center line of railroad tracks, using the 600-meter train as cover from lateral fire. To hit the drones, soldiers would have to shoot through their own train. Geometry protects the attackers perfectly. Unit 3's battery dies completely, 100 meters from target. Motor stops instantly, props windmilling uselessly, but momentum carries it forward. At 97 kilometers per hour with minimal air resistance, the dead drone glides the rest of the way before aerodynamic drag stops it. Operator calculated this perfectly, coasting final distance on physics alone. Through last functioning camera, operator watches Russian combat engineers attempting to decouple Wagon 22 while trains moving, coupling under 4,000 tons of tension at 56 kilometers per hour. Safety mechanism specifically designed never to release under load. Prevents catastrophic separation during normal operation. Engineers might as well be trying to untie a steel knot while bulldozers pull it. Unit 9 catches a lucky burst from PKM. Shrapnel clips battery pack. Tumbles into wheat field 400 meters short. 6 drones remaining. Operators calculated for 60% losses from start. Only needed 4 hits for mission success. Margin still positive. 1,406 hours. Lead drone slams into coupling between locomotive and first wagon. RPG-7 warhead detonates on impact. Shaped charge creates jet of molten copper, moving 2,800 meters per second. 9 times speed of sound. Massive steel coupling pin shears instantly. 4 more impacts follow in precise sequence. Wagon 3's fuel valve assembly ruptures, spraying pressurized diesel. Wagon 7's brake line severs, locking every trailing wagon's wheels. Wagon 18's thin-skinned ammunition car takes direct hit. Starting chain of secondary explosions. Wagon 22's ventilation system penetrated. 1,406 and 18 seconds. Inside Wagon 22, 12 tons of TOS-1A thermobaric rockets slowly heating from vibration-damaged seals. Warhead impact pushes internal temperature past 447 degrees Celsius. Auto-ignition point. Fuel-air mixture detonates. Pressure wave propagating at 3,000 meters per second. Wagons 20 through 24 simply cease to exist. Vaporized into plasma. Blast wave lifts wagons 25 through 47 completely off rails, flipping them end over end across countryside. Mushroom cloud climbs to 1,400 meters. So what really happened here? $4,800 worth of modified racing drones just erased $127 million in Russian military assets. That's a cost ratio of 26,000 to 1. But more importantly, they severed the only rail line feeding 3 mechanized divisions preparing for the next offensive. Those divisions won't be attacking tomorrow, or next week. Why does this matter now? This engagement proves that expensive doesn't mean effective. Russia deployed a $10 million electronic warfare vehicle, a $20 million Pantsir system, BTR armored vehicles, and an entire defensive network. All of it defeated by fiber optic cables and basic physics. The future of warfare isn't always about who has the most expensive equipment. Sometimes it's about who understands the physics better. And what would you have done in that bunker with artillery closing in? Would you have aborted or pushed through? Drop a comment. Subscribe for more untold military stories where cheap technology defeats expensive systems. Next time, we're breaking down how a single Ukrainian Neptune missile bypassed $1 billion worth of Russian naval defenses to sink the Moskva. You won't believe the mistake the Russian radar operator made.